Welcome to the show. Oh, we got a lot for you guys today. We got to talk about a question that I was asked. What does spring practice actually do for you? Is this even a worthwhile time? And then the same thing about 7-on-7 as well. We also have to talk about it. This is a basketball thing that actually impacts recruiting in football as well. So, Queens College in Queens University, their basketball coach, he is pissed because he said that teams from other conferences and other schools are showing up at their games, courtside seats, to go watch their players and start recruiting them out of the transfer portal before the season is even over with. I'm going to tell you, I'm not mad at it. And I actually think that their coach and other coaches being upset about this, they are thinking about this 100% the wrong way, and they need to take a page out of Nevada's head coach, Choate, in football, because he has the right way of thinking about things. We also have to talk about who is the top dog in the state of Florida, because a lot of people are wondering, oh, is it Miami? Is it Florida State? Is it USF, for all crying out loud right now? So we got to break that down. Plus, top 10 list today, one of the most fun that we have done. And also, we got to talk about the NFL draft and ages and how this impacts college football recruiting. Because a lot of times we look at these 5-star freshmen, these high 4-star freshmen, but we never look at the age, right? And then the NFL draft, there is a trend because we all thought that they would start drafting much older players, but that's not exactly what has been happening. They have actually been drafting younger players again, 21 and under, and the 23 and over crowd. When do they get drafted and how it's impacting everything? So we got to break that down, plus so much more. Make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. And also, guys, this episode is presented by Underdog Fantasy. So go over there and check us out. Use code Unafraid. $75 bonus when you make your first $5 play, and use code Unafraid. Yo, let's get to the show. So the question that I was asked was, what does spring practice do for you? Because a lot of people are looking at Curt Cignetti. He was like, I don't even use all my spring practices. Our practices are light, all of this stuff. Okay. So the reason why spring practice matters, in my personal opinion and my experience with it, is that's where, as a younger player, that's where you build your confidence at. That's where your confidence to go into the fall and go play well, that's where it's built. Because you just finished watching a bunch of players that you played with either prepare for the NFL draft or go to the NFL draft, or players that you played against. After my freshman year at Oregon, I was 100% sure I was going to the NFL. No question. Because I saw the success that I had as a freshman against guys that were going to the NFL. And I was like, oh, 2 more years from now, 3 more years from now, bro, I'm going to be a savage. So going into spring ball, going against other players, it just built the confidence, and also it just gives you an opportunity to take all the things you've been working on in your free time, in your off time, all the training that you've been doing, and getting a chance to put it into application. So yes, and if you don't play football if you play football basically from camp in July until the end of the season, either in end of November, or if you're playing into January, then and you don't play again until the next July, there's a little bit there. That, like, it's going to be a little bit of tougher of an adjustment, and the older players are going to have a much bigger advantage. But where spring ball plays in, oh, it's those young guys. It is the confidence. It is the reps. That's where the development from the classroom gets to be put into practice. Now, for newer coaches, I believe that in terms of newer coaches at newer places, and you're trying to build your culture, I think that spring practice is imperative, because that's where you're going to set the tone for physicality. It is where you're going to set the tone for attention to detail. and where you go and where you teach the lessons of discipline, not making mistakes, but it's also more about teaching. It also gives you, if I were a head coach, I would spend much more time teaching in spring ball and then the application and the reps of that teaching in spring ball. So I would spend much more time in the classroom with my players than actually on the field because we got to take it from like we got to take all the mental reps. The way when we get out on the field, we can play fast. And that's where Nick Saban, I feel like I learned so much from him talking about how to coach and how to do these things because he talked about like you should not be teaching a player a drill in practice. He should learn the drill on the board, watch film of it. That way, when he goes out to practice to execute that drill, he already knows how it is going to work. He already knows how it works. Like there's no questions. It's clear. So I believe that spring ball is a necessary thing for players in terms of their maturation and growth. And it also allows teams to be able to see what they have out of young players because when you get to fall camp, a lot of the depth chart is already baked in. And you don't have enough practices to be trying to wonder, are these freshmen who checked in January, are any of them ready to play? Or are my juniors ready to play? Like there's not enough reps. So it gives you the opportunity to identify developmental players and then put them on a developmental path through after spring ball, through summer, and then through fall camp while you're focusing more energy on the players who are going to play in the fall versus the developmental guys. You can put them in developmental spots in the fall. So that's why spring ball is important. The next thing that I found very interesting this week was Queens University head coach in basketball. Obviously, the conference tournaments are going on, and this is happening all over the place. And Queens University is a small place, and you had their coach was complaining that bigger schools from higher division levels and all this stuff that they are showing up, that their scouts and people from their school are sitting courtside at their games, essentially getting ready to recruit their players. And to me, I'm not mad at this at all. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So let me give you the players in this. So the head coach's name is Grant Leonard, okay, over at Queens. And they had their Atlantic Sun Conference Championship tournament. And he said that there was an SEC assistant that he purchased the ticket to one of their games to get ahead of recruiting one of his players in the transfer portal. Now, for me, I love this. I'm not mad at this at all. And the reason why is Grant Leonard. I completely understand where he's like, I don't want my player distracted while we are trying to get to the NCAA tournament, trying to figure out if we can win a game and, be one of these Cinderella stories. 100% understand every single inch of that. But the issue is, you are in the Atlantic Sun Conference. Your players are being your player is going to be recruited by an SEC team. Coach, you cannot hold on to this player anymore. Stop being covetous. The Bible teaches us against this. The idea that you're going to be able to keep a kid that an SEC school is going to be able to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. You should be telling that kid, keep playing well, kid. Go get your money. Drive up the price. Because I guarantee you, if Queens wins a couple games in the NCAA tournament and the head coach gets another job, he gets an opportunity to move up to the Mountain West. Or if he gets a chance to move up to the SEC or anywhere else, you don't think the coach is going to take the job? Of course he is. So the idea that he would then encourage his player not to do this, it is selfish. It is selfish and it is not right. Nevada football's head coach, Choate, he just recently said his sales pitch in recruiting is, guys, I know you were under recruited in high school or you feel like you should be somewhere else. Come to Nevada. We will develop you. And go get, and his quote was, go get $1 million from Oregon. But Oregon was just a placeholder. He was saying Alabama, Oregon, Oklahoma, USC, wherever it is. Go get your bread. And that is exactly what head coaches should be focusing on, is growing and developing their players at smaller universities and get them out. Go get them money. Because guess what? When you're trying to sell the next kid to come to Queens, tell them, come to Queens. We get developed. We sent this guy to Florida. We sent this guy to Alabama. We sent this guy to Duke. We sent this guy to Kentucky. You're going to get more recruits like that. Instead of trying to keep the one, think about what you can use to sell that to the rest of the players. Now you're going to get better players, have better chances to go to the NCAA tournament, which means, coach, you get a better job. You make more money. This is a rising tide lifts all ships. Let's stop living in a scarcity mindset. Let's start living in a mindset of thriving. Let's start living in a mindset of high level. Let's do that, because that is very, very important. Come on, people. We can't live scared. We got to live in a place where we believe in ourselves and we thrive. So I know that there's a lot of coaches out there that get to talking about, and granted, if you're at Clemson and you're upset with what happened with Ole Miss and your player, that's a whole different thing. Because you're not trying to keep somebody from their financial riches. Look at what happened at a school like UC Davis this last year. Their quarterback, Caden Pinnock, he's at UC Davis. UC Davis can only pay him, $75,000, maybe $100,000 in NIL. If Colorado and Washington State and all these schools come offering $700,000, $800,000, $1 million, are you supposed to say no? Absolutely not. It's different if the finances are close, right? If you're saying, all right, some school offers, the school I'm at offered me $500,000. I know that that's the ceiling for what they can pay. Another school is trying to offer me 650 or 700, and I don't know these coaches, don't really know the situation. I like it here, blah, blah, blah. Then you might be able to turn that down. But if we're talking 500,000 compared to 2.5 million, them ain't relative numbers, baby. You got to make sense. It's got to make sense. And as a coach, you can't covet your players. You have to treat them with the same dignity and respect that you would want. You're going to do what's best for your family, right? Just like any of us would. We get a better opportunity. We do the Unafraid Show here, right? Let's say that Fox calls or CBS and they're like, George, I need you to shut down Unafraid Show, but we're going to pay you $5 million a year. I got bad news. This will be my last day on the show until we can negotiate it back in. But if you tell me, gee, we'll give you 3.5, 4, and you can keep it, I'm going to take the 3.5, 4 and keep it, because I feel like we can build this into something great. But there's a number that can get me to stop doing it. There's a number that can get you to change your job and your work or your zip code. It's just the truth. And we got to live with it and understand it, because we all want the same things: financial security, geographic desirability, and a place where our, family and loved ones are happy. That's all we want. So if there's a sliding scale for all of it, money's not always at the top. Sometimes the location is more important. Sometimes your family, any of those things can be more important. But we can't begrudge people for doing the right thing for them. But you guys, though, we got so much on the show today. Y'all make sure that y'all like, share, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. Oh, let's get into it. We got a good discussion today because there's a lot of talk about recruiting, a lot of talk about draft picks, how old guys are, where you should recruit them, and a whole bunch of things, and then where you should draft them because guys get called they're too old and this, but we're noticing some draft trends. We're going back from 2023 to 2024 and 2025 draft, which obviously the 2026 draft is coming up. So it'll be notable how this plays off and plays into this and how recruiting plays into it too with the holdbacks, everything else. So we're going to break this whole thing down. But you guys, I wanted to let you guys know first, go to our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, block parters, they're all back, and Underdog is the best way to get in all the action. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Download the app today and use promo code UNAFRAID, and you can score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That is promo code UNAFRAID. Now, you guys go like, share, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show. Let's get to it. So, Ralph, there's been a lot of people who have talked about, how old players are going in the draft. When they were talking about Bo Nix, Michael Penix, all those guys going in the draft. In the NBA, they were skewing toward high school players for a long time. And now we're in a situation with the NFL draft where people are wondering, are older players better? Because you're getting, Hakeem Mazador, Ruben Bain. They're both older. You got Pons from Indiana. Mendoza's a little bit older. Like, there are older guys all over the place. And people, they were like, oh, they're too old. But it feels like that they're more ready to play. But you dug deep and you figured out, like, what's been going on in the draft over the last 3 years.
Yeah, and this is what I really wanted to talk to you about this because it kind of reflects on a little bit on your experience, or at least where you were projected when you were coming out in the draft and what you were initially told. And I'm wondering, when I presented you these statistics when we were like prepping for the show, I'm wondering kind of how surprised you are by some of this, because I was looking at the CBS mock draft for the upcoming 2026 NFL draft, and 13 of the projected first 16 picks, until you get to Akeem Mesidor, who is a lot older, until you get to Akeem Mesidor, 13 of the top 16 have eligibility left as far as projected in the first round. So that made me go back and look at the last few drafts and see just how many guys, despite the fact that we've got so many older players because of COVID eligibility, especially the last 3 seasons, how many were getting picked early. And then when you got to the mid rounds, was that still a trend? And this is what I found going back 3 years. So starting with the 2023 NFL draft, in the first round, you had 11 players who were 21 or under at the time that they were being drafted. In the 2024 NFL draft, you had 14 players who were 21 and under. And last year, you had 16 players. And there's 32 picks, obviously. So in the last 3 drafts, you're talking about 41 players. 41 out of 96. So like nearly half. Nearly half of the players have been 21 or under in the first round. Now, we've had some older players too, but it might not be what you think, because if you go back to 2023, only 4 players were 23 or older at the time of getting drafted. There was a big spike in 2024 because obviously that lines up perfectly with COVID, but still, that was only 11, less than the 14 who were drafted who were 21 and under. And then last year, the discrepancy was 16 who were 21 and under, and only four who were 23 and over. The most common age you would think would be 22 for any draft pick, because that's your basic eligibility. But the truth of the matter is, most of the guys who are drafted in the earliest round in the NFL draft are drafted the moment that they're possibly eligible to even be a pro. And we'll get into what actually happens when you move on in the rounds of the draft after this. But I wonder, George, what's your reaction to that? That the projections for this upcoming draft match up with the last three, that the guys who go first, the ones you get the longest contractual rights to, are the youngest players available.
I so I find that interesting because you the natural thinking was at first that, and this is why data matters, is you would have thought that after that, what was it, 2024 draft where you had so many older players because of the COVID year, because you got an extra year of eligibility, that players were going to trend to older, that they were going to see that these players come out ready to play. And but it's actually just reverted back to exactly what it was prior, where clubs are favoring the younger players because they're still excited about them. And I want you guys to watch this upcoming draft and also watch next year's draft. And a player that I want you to pay attention to in next year's draft, 2027, is Jeremiah Smith. Remember, coming out his freshman year, oh my God, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Number one player off the board. If he were at draft eligible, everything. This year, oh my gosh, he's probably still the best receiver in college football. But now there's a probably in front. Physically impressive. He'll be a first round pick, a top pick, but now all of a sudden it ain't the surefire number one pick. Because they've seen so much tape on you. They've seen your flaws, they've seen more of the things. And then this upcoming year, there are going to be people. I'm not even sure if he's the number one wide receiver off the board. Guarantee somebody says that. And you're going to, and so the more tape they get on you, even though that he'll still be a junior, the more that you're exposed to the criticism. And that's why I think that you have guys who had a decent sophomore season and then take a huge leap their junior year. They're like, oh, the iron is hot right now. And I think that that's the natural way that coaches and everybody, they think about things. Everything feels more grand the newer it is. So I think that's why the younger players get trended to. It's the same way in the NBA. Why Dame Lillard wasn't the first pick, or why they draft 19-year-olds with the number one pick instead of a proven college guy who was in college 2 or 3 years, and then he goes and is an NBA superstar, compared to trying to you know, project and do projects and put guys on the bench and stash them and develop them, because they keep drafting off of players' potential and their ceiling instead of their floor. Like, I always believe, Ralph, that you should draft off people's floor. That what is the worst thing that I'm going to get out of this dude? So if the worst thing that I'm going to get is, like, if the if a sinkhole happens essentially in his career, what is the worst thing I'm going to get? Okay, the worst thing I'm going to get is a decent starter. That means draft him. But if the worst thing that I can get is a dude that's unplayable, or I can't start him, but his ceiling, oh my God, he could be the greatest of all time if he hits his ceiling. That is a waste of time. You really want high floor, high ceiling guys, but you also want high floor is tremendously more important. And I think coaches get lost in that in college football, in recruiting too, Ralph. And part of this goes back to the age of players. So there was a study done, it was either by 247 or On Three, and they talked about like some of the biggest high school factories. The Mater Days of the world, St. John Bosco's, the IMGs, the St. Francis out in Baltimore, Buford, like other places. And kids who are 19 going into their senior year, who were holdbacks, generally don't make it to the NFL.
Interesting.
It is the kids who are age appropriate. But we see it all the time. So many of the older kids, oh my God, they jump off film. You're like, oh my God. But if you think about it, they're a year older, they should, right?
Mm.
And that means that when they get to college, the amount of room that they can grow is less than somebody who is age appropriate. So I'm not telling you not to hold your kids back. It depends on their age, their birthday, all of that stuff. Like I reclassed my middle son because he was basically going to be 13 going into high school, and that wasn't going to work. He was just turning 14 right when school started, and he plays quarterback and all that stuff. So so now instead of checking into college in January after of his senior year, halfway through, and still having another more than half a year left at 17, and being 17-year-old Ryan Williams, he'll be 18 when he goes to college now, instead of 17 like my older son was.
What do you think youth is worth as far as just spots? Because like there's a couple of guys who are projected. One is probably projected as a mid first rounder. One is projected as a later first rounder, but solidly in the first round. And I'm talking about Tennessee's Colton Hood and Utah's Caleb Lomu. Caleb Lomu is a guy that I covered at the high school
Yeah.
level. They both have multiple years of eligibility left. And there's some people who say that Dylan Tieneman would have as well, that he would have had multiple years of collegiate eligibility left. I've seen him listed as a junior, and I've seen him listed as a redshirt sophomore in certain places. But what do you think it's worth? Like, so if Caleb Lomu, same tape, same exact tape, but he's 23 and not 21 at the time of draft, what do you think that's worth to some of these teams? Nothing is different. Not a single thing is different. If Caleb Lomu or Colton Hood is 23 with the tape they have now versus 21.
Dang. Oh, then they're gonna say, "Oh man, between his last 2 years, we feel like he should have got a little bit better." All of a sudden, the quote unquote flaws in his game look much bigger, much bigger.
Because that's so wild. It's like, what is the difference between training a 21-year-old and a 23-year-old on the same skill sets with the same coaching? Like, what is the difference, I wonder?
No, I think it's more perception than anything else. And honestly, Ralph, like this reminds me a lot of this whole thing when obviously it relates to my kids, but also when I was coming out in the draft, I was 21 until like right before the draft started. Like I played my last college football season at 21. And then I turned 22 right in April of that. Wait. Yeah, I turned 22 that year. Right before the draft in April. So at that age, I feel like your body's in a good spot. You are I definitely wasn't mature enough to be going to the NFL, but a lot of times your talent and God given ability takes you to places you're not mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready for. But if I had to choose between drafting a younger player and an older player, right, 23 and older, if I've had a it also depends on the position too, right? Because it's the physical traits. Because if I see somebody who is productive on film, but then they also have explosive traits, like special traits, then yes, I'm going to draft you high. But a lot of times teams, they get so focused. It's kind of like the 5-star thing, Ralph, where they're sitting there drafting I'm sorry, where they are ranking 5-star players based upon their traits more than anything else. This reminds me of when I was coming out in the draft. I was 21 years old. I played my last season at 21 and then got drafted at 22 years old. I wasn't, mature enough to be in the league for sure, because a lot of times your God given ability takes you to places that you're not mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready for. But physically, I was good. I was ready to go. And so if I had to choose between drafting a 23-year-old who has good tape and the measurables are for real. Like the measurables are jump off the screen for you, and he's 23, or an underclassman whose measurables jump off the screen, I'm probably going to draft a 23-year-old because I want more mature guys. But usually the physical freaks don't stay in college for 4 years. You know what I mean? Like your freakiness gets you out early. Like I was a junior when I came out. Imagine like a Anthony Richardson. You get so enamored. Oh my God, look at him. Look at him. Big old arm, throws it through the roof. They ignored the tape. And they ignored the tape a lot of times. Like when they drafted Matt Jones in Jacksonville. Like the tape said, yes, he should be a draft pick, but not, middle of the first round. But that's what they're looking for in the first round, though. Ralph is freakish, especially at the top of the first round. Freakish, looking good, getting off the bus for the most part. Like you have to have an elite, at least one, but probably multiple elite traits, and usually physically imposing to get drafted that high.
It's just wild to me how much it flips, right? From the first round where like the youngest players available mostly are getting taken, to then just skip to the third round. Skip to the third round of the NFL draft, take the last three drafts, and this will tell you exactly who NFL GMs are and how they operate. Because, we just established that it's like a 3-to-1 likelihood of a 21 or younger being taken over a 23 or older in the first round. But when you get to the third round, it is very, very different. 3 years ago, 20 players in the third round were 23 or older. Only three were 21 or younger. In 2 years ago, that was 22-5 in favor of 23 plus year old prospects. And just this last year, the 2025 draft was 15 23-year-olds to 6 21 or younger. And there's a guy who covers college football. He's super talented. We got to get him on this show. His name is Shahan Jayaraja. And he wrote this awesome article last year. This is last April leading up to the NFL draft to talk about the effect of the fact that you actually have less 21 or unders coming out.
Yes.
That if you go back to the 2021 NFL draft, 128 underclassmen went into the draft and 28 went undrafted. So 1 in 5 basically is going undrafted. But if you fast forward to the 2024 NFL draft, only 58 underclassmen entered and only 5 went undrafted. So it went from 1 in 5 to 1 in 10, and the number got cut in half.
So now the question is, does that make the league better? Like, does that put a better product in the NFL? Because guys are older, because they're opting for an additional year, because it's clear the numbers support it that more players are opting for because they can get paid for that senior year of college. I believe that makes the draft competition that much tighter, right? Like because you are competing against more seasoned players, and then also it makes the NFL product better because you're gonna have less busts, or technically you should, because players are more developed when they come in, and you don't have to develop them at the same rate that you used to.
And there's got to be, I mean, you've been in this situation. I haven't clearly, but there's got to be no worse feeling. As a fan, it feels pretty terrible. But there's got to be no worse feeling than the doubts that creep in as the rounds are going on, that you left eligibility on the table and you're not getting drafted where you thought you were going to get drafted.
Oh, do you know what is funny? I did think about that like months and years after the draft. I had a second round grade, go in the fourth round, very beginning of the fourth round, said I had character issues, even though I had never been in trouble, but still, I always think about what would have happened had I gone out the next year. And granted, my life has turned out really well. I may have, and I always look at things like a blessing. Whereas, had I gone out, because I have spinal stenosis, and when I finish playing, I go to the back doctor. He's like, "Yo, looking at this MRI, I'm surprised you were able to walk in here. People would crawl in here, looking with neck and back MRIs that look like this." So I look at it as a blessing. I got a chance to play, 6 years in the league, then have a cup of coffee with the Giants, and then go to the UFL and play for a season. If I go earlier, I may go to a situation where I don't go to Jacksonville, where we're mainly a running team. I go somewhere and I'm catching 50, 60, 70 balls a year, and then I break my neck. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That could have been the thing, is that me being in a system that was more fit for me, where I catch more balls, exposes me to more risk, more hits, which could have put me in a worse position after. So I try to look at things as a positive and
Sure.
not look at it, oh my gosh, things could have been so great had I come out. I mean, they
Who is
they
your
might have, but then I might not have my kids. I might not have my wife. I might have the things could have worked out. It's butterfly effect.
Very true, but I know you're a human and I know you're a football fan. Who is your poster child for should have stayed? Should have stayed one more year. I'll give you mine. I'll give you mine while you think about it.
Okay.
Is a man by the name of Brett Smith. And of course, you're not gonna be surprised by this. Brett Smith was the Mountain West Freshman of the Year in 2011. He was a 3-year starter at Wyoming from 2011 to 2013. 8,800 passing yards, 76 touchdowns, 1,600 rushing yards, 20 touchdowns. He was a monster. He had a year of eligibility left. He decided to come out. He went undrafted. Got a camp invite to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2014, but spent 2014 with the Toronto Argonauts. Was in Canadian football for the next 3 years. He only really played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2015, so he never really got any run. He could have been Wyoming's all-time great as a quarterback. Instead, he finished his career with 15 career professional touchdown passes, all in the CFL. And yeah, he's my biggest what if of all time.
For me, and this is a kid I know, and I'm wishing the best for him, but I would say Amari Bailey in basketball. Goes to UCLA freshman year, comes out, pretty sure he's going to be a second round draft pick, but he goes anyway. And I wanted him to stay at UCLA for another year. NIL was there. Could have made big money in college too. And I think that second year would have put him, when you're a second round pick in the NBA, unless you come out and just absolute kill it, it's tough to stick. And that's kind of what he's dealing with. And so I wish him the best, but I definitely wish he had stayed in school one more year.
Well, you might get your wish because he was on an official visit to Grand Canyon University like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I don't know if that's gonna. I don't know how that's gonna pan out with the way that it's panned out for a lot of other guys who've come back.
You know who ruined this? The whole like I'll go and a second round will be a blessing. Is your boy that you went to high school with?
Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah, yeah, because he
Oh, it
instead
worked out
of
great. I mean, it's worked out
yeah, it
great for
did.
him, for Jokic, Draymond Green, but I think Draymond Green was out of eligibility, but still, like it's worked out for some players.
But you
Malik
can't
Rose
depend on
and
going last in the draft, being a top 3 player, only having a 2-year deal and getting a $66 million contract by the time you're 21.
yes,
Like I think anybody who is trying to follow in Gilbert Arenas' footsteps got to have like really strong legs to be able to carry the clown shoes that it takes. Like he is a true pioneer, an
yes.
absolute true pioneer in everything he does. Not a role model though, Charles Barkley style. Don't do what he did.
That's a fact. But I want to take this before we finish this conversation into the recruiting world. So when it comes to holdbacks, right? I
Hmm.
want you guys to start paying attention to the age of recruits. Age of recruits. And because the older ones, like guys who were 19 their senior year, when we get 20-year-old freshmen, those guys typically don't pan out the same way that other guys do. So I want y'all to pay attention to that. So Ralph, how often? Actually, I know because we've talked about it, but tell everybody how often you actually like look at the ages of players when you're looking at recruits.
I don't have to. All I have to do is say something good about a player to a parent that is not of that kid, and I will find out the age of that kid immediately.
That is a bro. That is number one because
Is
parents, the first thing that you say is, yeah. He's young though. Yeah, he's young. Or man, he's an old kid. Like
mm-hmm. It
he's a double holdback. Like we're not even acknowledging. Like there's a sense of we're not even acknowledging what you're doing with double holdbacks. And there's
yeah.
a or even sometimes if you're an older young one-time holdback, they're like, yeah, it's different. So yeah, you are right, Ralph. The parents will definitely tell the story on you.
Yeah, or it doesn't even have to be the parents. And this has been my life. Like I've existed in this recruiting space since 2012, and it's not even anything. This is just an observation. It's nothing I asked for. I usually don't get into it. 3 of my 4 kids are holdbacks, not even for athletic reasons. They're like yours. They went in early to see if they could hang. The COVID year happened, and I was like, 6 of us can't use the internet at the same time, so we took a year off. We went hiking. We enjoyed ourselves, right? And so my I have a bunch of kids. I have 3 boys who will be 18 for their entire senior year. But I remember one high school football game I was covering, and it will definitely come up in conversation if you ask a parent. I'll be like, "Man, I really like this kid," and they'll be like, they're a year." Like there's a DB, there's a defensive back at UCLA right now who I've never been able to say anything good about without people bringing up his age, ever. And people, they could probably find out if they looked. But there was a quarterback, Jacob Conover, and one of my favorite high school quarterbacks of all time. And he was playing in the playoffs his senior year of high school, and the other school's opposing student section. This is actually where Caleb Lomu went to school, who we just talked about earlier. The opposing student section brought like a walker and a cane, and because the day of the playoff game was his 19th birthday, so like November of his senior year, he was turning 19, and they sung him happy birthday, and they had like boxes of Polydent, and they had like gray hair wigs. And so like people will just tell you. They'll just tell you. Jaden Rashada's first college start, he as a freshman, he turned 20 like during that game, and it was a
Yeah.
very big topic of conversation. And so you don't have to say much. People will just bring it up. But when somebody's young, it's the exact same way. You'll be like, "Hey, you know this kid is playing up, right?" And that's the same in basketball too. You know this kid's playing up. It just comes up. People are obsessed with age.
Yeah, that's a fact, and everybody's gonna be able to relate to that one. Hey, but you guys though, in just a minute, it is top 10 time here on the show. So make sure you keep it locked. Subscribe, share, get notifications, tell a friend about the show. This is Unafraid Show. All right, now it's time for us to have fun. And we got a top 10 list for you guys today. Our top 10 most unbelievable performances by people that were very unexpected. And this comes on the heels of Bam Adebayo for the Miami Heat scoring 83 points in a game. And Ralph, as a Kobe guy, it made me upset. I don't know why it was such a hater moment inside of me. I wasn't mad at Bam Adebayo. I was mad at Eric Spoelstra. I was mad at the Washington Wizards because this was gross. They were fouling at the end of the game. It was a Bush League performance, and it was horrible, right? But if I was Bam, I might, I'd have took myself out of the game. I'd have done the honorable Kobe thing when Kobe took himself out with 61 points against the Dallas Mavericks. But I digress. But I
Can
want
I
people
tell
to.
you that I hated it as and I'm not. I spent most of my life as a basketball fan on the receiving end of the stuff that Kobe would do. Um, and I don't know. Like for me, it didn't have as much to do with Kobe as it did like just the general erosion of NBA defense, and like the game has been solved. Like Bam Adebayo has point guard handles. Like it's just a game where everyone can do
But they
everything, and
were
it
fouling in the last 3 minutes of the game,
yes,
up 20
nasty,
something.
unethical. I feel you, nasty. I get all that. But do you know what I kind of liked about it?
What was there to like?
It's been a minute since the Kobe fans have lost their mind on the internet.
Dude, it
It
felt like an attack. It felt like an attack on Kobe because we were like, oh my God, Bam scored 83. And then I went and looked 43 free throws. It was gross. It was gross. But
you
let
know
me
how
put
all these kids are nostalgic for like 2016. Like everybody's like the world was good up until 2016.
yeah.
That's how it gave me the nostalgia of like I remember 2016 when Kobe fans wouldn't shut up. They're just mad about something all day, every day, and they do a
Well,
lot to
because he
protect
should
his
have had
legacy.
two
And I get that, but
MVPs,
like,
and yeah, they gave Steve Nash two ridiculous MVPs instead of Kobe because they hated him at the time. It was terrible.
disagree. You can keep your championship rings. I want my 20 points, 10 assists, MVPs back to back. Thank you very much.
God, that was the worst. Some of the worst MVPs of all time.
Okay.
But let me explain to you guys how crazy Bam Adebayo's game was. So we got a math man, a stat guy, put it out. Said Bam Adebayo broke math. His 83-point game was 8.5 standard deviations above his career average, or 1 in 53 quadrillion. And based on career averages, it's like Patrick Mahomes passing for 915 yards, which doesn't seem impossible in a college game where it was the old overtime rules. Um, Justin Verlander throwing 214 pitches in a start. That only feels possible in softball. And Wilt Chamberlain grabbing 79 rebounds, which I don't know. Against people who's playing against, it probably feels possible. Um, And then he said, for the math peeps, no scoring points in the NBA isn't a perfectly normal distribution. Yes, events like points in the NBA game are more susceptible to extreme outliers on the high side. Yes, external factors and circumstances impact results. So don't be a gatekeeper, is what he has said. So, with that said, we have our top 10 list of things that we saw in sports that we were just like, wait, what? He did what? Or she did what? I'll go first, Ralph. My
Okay.
first, I will never, ever, 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 ever forget where I was and what I was doing in 1990 when Mike Tyson went to go fight Buster Douglas in Tokyo, and Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson. It was like knocking out Samson. It was like knocking out the strongest man, the most feared man in the universe, and then you realize we're all just mortal men. So that was a humbling experience.
I'm going to counter with 2014 World Cup because that's really the only time I watch soccer is when
Okay.
the World Cup comes along.
Me too. I'm the biggest soccer
And
fan in the entire world during World Cup.
yeah, of course. And then I don't even think I don't even think about it the rest of the year. But I will give you the date, July 1st. It's the middle of summer, and we had just come off a draw against Portugal.
Who is
And
we?
the United States of
Okay.
America. We're
Okay.
Americans, correct? Yeah. So
I didn't know we
did
played
you think I
soccer then.
was? Yeah. So we had just come off a draw against Portugal. We beat Nigeria, and it was like, oh, are we like, do we have a chance? Because Portugal's legit. And we were heading into a match against Belgium, and so I sat down on the couch. I like cleared my day. It's the middle of summer, but like I am locked in on this. And then I watched Tim Howard break the record for saves in a World Cup
Oh
match.
yes, because they were just, and it was an assault on the
Oh
goalkeeper.
yeah,
That was
no,
some of the
it
worst
was
defense that you've seen.
one on the entire country of Belgium. It was 1v everyone. And we think we lost in overtime to Belgium 2-1, but Tim Howard still got man of the match. So Tim Howard breaking the saves record, for me, that came out of nowhere, because the only time I'm watching soccer is during the World Cup. I know that we're not good, and all of a sudden it's like, do we have the best soccer player on earth?
Well,
On Team America, but like I
well, your
just,
first
that one
mistake.
for me stands out.
Well, your first mistake is that you were watching men's USA soccer. You should have been watching the women. That's a much more enjoyable experience. My next one, number 3, Jeremy Lin in 2012, when he had the Kobe game at Madison Square Garden, and then also over a 12-game stretch, Linsanity happened. 22 and a half points, 8.7 assists. Jeremy Lin, he broke. He broke. He went in a place that he never was able to go back to again. And maybe his Harvard brain, he got too logical, tried to figure out how he did it and all this stuff, and he was not able to get back to the place that Linsanity came from. But listen, that's testament. Broken clock is right twice a day.
I love Jeremy Lin. I remember watching that game live, the Kobe game, and just like that was maybe the most fun I ever had, watching a basketball game, because it was so
Absurd.
unlikely. And
It
it's
was
also,
absurd.
it's cool. Like, real basketball fans love when the Knicks do something. I get it if you're a Celtics fan and you disagree, or you're a Sixers fan and you disagree, you want them to be bad forever. If you're just a basketball fan, like, when something is happening in New York, the whole sport's more exciting. My next one happened against your Dodgers, actually. I'm going to give you a date. And see if you can actually guess what it is. April 23rd, 1999.
That's the beginning of the season, early in the season, 1999. You're a Diamondbacks guy, so it's got to be something with 99.
I don't know if I was a Diamondbacks guy then, because that's like year 1 or 2.
Huh. No, I don't know what happened.
Okay, so this is Chan Ho Park versus Fernando Tatis Sr. 2 grand slams in 1 inning off the same pitcher.
Oh,
2
God.
grand slams in 1 inning off the same pitcher.
I remember Chan Ho Park. Oh, God. That's atrocious. Oh, yuck. Oh, my God. That's horrendous. And Tatis was a good player, but not that damn good. Where like he was okay, but he wasn't a dude that you would expect to hit 2 grand slams, let alone 1.
But I think people maybe don't remember Fernando Tatis accurately or appropriately, and part of that, I think, is because of his son, who also has a multi-home run game against the Dodgers, which is another completely insane statistic. But Fernando Tatis had 113 career home runs. That's it, in almost 1,000 games played. So 2 of those came in 1 inning against the same guy, in the middle of what was by far his, like, by a million miles, his best season. He had 34 home runs that year. He never had over 18 in any other season in the majors. He's 5'11", 180. Like, the likelihood of that happening, it'll never, ever happen again. And even Chan Ho Park still being in the game, because the manager had gotten tossed in the middle of the inning, so just no one came and got him. They just left him out there.
Let him die. They just let a starting pitcher die up there.
Yes.
Wait, which inning was it?
Early. I want to say it was like third or fourth inning.
Oh
It
no,
was
the
super
pitcher
early in
should
the
have been
game.
out. If it happened in the first inning, yes, because you don't have anybody warmed up, everything like that. But third inning, no, they should have had somebody ready. All right, number 5, 2008, David Tyree's catch in the Super Bowl against the undefeated Patriots on the side of his head. Now, mind you, I went to the Giants the next year. Everybody talked about. Now, mind you, they talked about it on television, right? But like when people tell the story back, but in real life, in the locker room, the very next year, people were still talking. I have no idea how he caught that ball. He dropped everything that entire week, and also he was mainly a special teams guy. So him being in that position was already weird. And then him making a catch like that, a guy who was notoriously just an average catcher of the football, to make a catch like, I don't think Jerry Rice could have made that catch. Only somebody unlikely could have made that catch. That was like angels in the outfield moment. So yes, that was incredible.
David Tyree career receptions. Do you know how many catches he had in his whole career?
How many years did he play?
He, I think, pretty similar to you. He got 6 years with the last couple being like 10 total games because of injuries.
Oh, I might have more catches than the David Tyree then.
Let me check. I'll pull that up right now. I'll be able to tell you if you have more career catches than David Tyree.
So I have 9 regular season touchdowns and I have 90 something catches. Like 94,
you had 94
98.
catches. You had twice as many catches, twice as many touchdowns in your career as David Tyree.
But he's got a moment.
Were you for a brief moment? Were you on the same roster?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So I saw him, and I was highly unimpressed as a guy who, as a catcher. Now, mind you, he was a good football player, but you wouldn't mistake him for having the best hands on the team at all.
But his name elicits a reaction in every football fan.
Correct. You
That's
remember
wild.
where you were when you saw that?
Do you want to know where I was when I saw that?
Where?
At the New England Patriots Super Bowl after party setting up. That place was quiet as hell. That place was quiet as hell.
The ball trapped here, and you're just like, come on, man. Ain't no way.
Earth, Wind, and Fire was
backwards too. It was crazy.
Earth, Wind, and Fire was sound checking on stage. Alicia Keys was hanging out just in the ballroom on the floor. Everybody was staring at one big screen. No one said a damn word. I was at the New England Patriots Super Bowl after party setting up when that happened. Wild night.
Grand opening, grand closing.
Yes, sir. All right. Next up for me, I got a question for you. Do you know where Curry College is?
Never even heard of Curry College.
You and probably most people outside of Milton, Massachusetts, where it is located, where this football season, this year, a 5'9", 180-pound running back from Goose Creek, South Carolina, a very good D3 running back who finished his college career with 7,000 yards rushing, went into a game. This is his senior year. He went into a game coming off of back-to-back monster performances. He was against New England College. They won by 55. He had 16 carries for 214 yards. And then Maine Maritime, which I've also never heard of, they beat 60-0. He had 50 carries for 179 yards. He's coming off 2 monster performances, and they are playing Nichols, not Nicholls State, just Nichols.
Okay.
Who came in at 2-3. And they gave this man, Monty Curry, the running back, Monty Curry, They gave this man the ball 20 times.
Okay.
What do you think he did with those 20 carries, George?
Well, he just had 50 for 179, which ain't which. I mean, it's a decent.
Yeah, 15 carries for 179 the week before.
Oh, I thought you said 50.
15.
Oh,
15.
okay. Oh, okay. So we're getting absurd.
So they give him 5 more carries the next game. What do you think he did?
If he did something absurd because he's on this list, let's go 420 yards.
Okay. 20 carries, 522 yards, smashed the NCAA single game record, 7 touchdowns.
What? Where was the transfer portal? He had no business playing against. He had no business playing against these people.
Where's the news? Yeah, he had back-to-back 1,600-yard seasons going into his senior year. Stays at Curry College, ran for 2,400 yards this last season, and 522 of them came in one game. Why did we not know about this?
Yeah, bro.
Like, why wasn't it news? Why wasn't it SportsCenter? I don't remember seeing it, but the NCAA record for most rushing yards in one game right now is by a guy named Monty Quinn from Curry College, and it happened on just 20 carries, 26 yards a carry.
Bro, that's like when Monty Ball and Melvin Melvin oh God, he played in San Diego. Melvin Gordon. They rushed for 400 yards in like back-to-back weeks. It was like 407 and 426 or something like that. It was crazy. All right.
That would be very fascinating to find out if Monty Quinn ends up on an NFL roster, like as a call-in or something like that, just off of this year's performances.
That's crazy. Next one for me. I have to get a name pronunciation right because the internet helped me with this one. But it was funny because I remember seeing footage of this, but I was like, bro, this is crazy. So Abebe Bikila won the Olympic marathon in 1960 in Rome and set a world record. That doesn't sound all that impressive, right? Till you realize that it was done barefoot. Barefoot.
What?
Yes. 26.2 miles barefoot and set a world record.
I can't even walk to the trash can barefoot without problems.
Ralph, if when I have people at my house, because we don't have shoes in the house, so you either have to wear some house slippers, like some house only slippers or something. Bro, if I walk around my house for a whole day on these hardwood floors without something under my feet, my back is going to collapse. It is going to feel like the gates of hell are in my lower back. And this man ran an entire marathon.
And set a record?
Yes. And set a world record at the time.
You know how many people probably got injured because of him?
Bro, it's that's crazy. It's like old boy in the NFL now that won't put shoes on.
Oh. Who walks into the stadium on that dirty cement, Mac Hollins?
Yes. Bro, that's nasty. It's nasty. It might be effective because Troy Polamalu used to train with no shoes on too in the off season, but still, bro, like you can't be walking around that dirty ass feet, bro. Imagine how calloused must your feet be for you to be able to run 26.2 miles without injuring your feet.
One misplaced rock, it's over. Like, I don't understand. That's insane. That might belong higher on this list. My next one is my introduction to pro football. Now, some people might disagree with this, but it was such an absurd performance that it got me hooked. And then to this day, I've never seen it again, so I feel tricked.
Okay.
I really feel deceived. And you and I might have actually talked about this before because this happened in I want to say November of 1996. Okay. I'm 12.
You didn't steal mine. Okay, I got nervous.
There's zero chance this would have ever come up on your radar. You're going to make fun of me for even having it, but I was a huge NBA fan as a little kid, and I loved baseball. Loved Tony Gwynn, loved the Atlanta Braves. Football was not on my radar until like a little bit 95 and definitely 96. 96 was my football awakening. I was 12 years old. Wyoming was good. Arizona State was good. I had this little Sony radio that I used to listen to games on. So I didn't even watch this game on TV. I listened to the entire thing on the radio. My introduction to the NFL came on November 24th, 1996, when Boomer Esiason, quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, I got the date wrong. It was November 10th. Boomer Esiason, quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. This was his stat line, George. 35 of 59.
Okay.
522 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in an overtime win against the then Washington Redskins.
Okay. I'm failing to see how this feels absurd.
Okay, so it's absurd in the context of what was happening at the time. Boomer Esiason was in the twilight of his career. This was only his second game played. It was only his third start of the season, and it was toward the end of the season. And it has a little bit not to do with him. It has to do with everybody around him. 522 yards passing, no receiver over 100 yards.
What? Okay.
Yeah,
that's absurd. That's absurd.
He was dotting up everybody. And and again, you have to understand, this is my first experience with football. So what's my takeaway from this, George?
So
Boomer Esiason is great.
Yes, exactly.
He started approximately 9 more games before his career was over.
So this feels like Andy Dalton having that stat line. Like
yes, yeah, like
Dalton.
right now. Yeah. And it being somebody's first time. The Arizona Cardinals win. So what was my assumption?
The Cardinals are good, and Boomer Esiason is the best quarterback ever, even though he threw 4 picks.
Yes, the Cardinals are good, and Boomer Esiason is the best quarterback ever.
Wow, so you could not have been more wrong about anything.
No, this was the 2 free nights in Vegas in exchange for going to a timeshare seminar. That's what this was in my life. And I have been under the umbrella of this expensive-ass timeshare for the last 30 years because of Boomer Esiason on some random November Sunday. And if you look back at his career, is his only 500-yard passing game. He only had like 4 where he went over 400. He had essentially no career after that. I think he ended up like suing the organization or leaving the team early that same year. And the Cardinals have been, in the last 30 years, like the worst franchise imaginable. So that one really sticks out to me because it doesn't match up with the entire experience I've had since then.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. All right, my last one, number 9, 1988, the Super Bowl. The Washington then Redskins versus the Denver Broncos. Do you know whose name I'm about to mention?
This is a Super Bowl?
Yes. Man rushed for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns while being a rookie and only rushing for 126 yards on the season prior to that.
Give me the name.
Timmy Smith. Timmy Smith. So one of the Washington running backs got hurt. So then Timmy Smith has to start. And this is the Doug Williams year.
That's right. That's your boy.
Yep. And so, wait, hold on. Wait, did Doug Williams win in? Hold on. I'll get him to edit this out.
Timmy Smith.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Hold up. Let me see. Super Bowl 22 stat line.
On his Wikipedia page right now. This is absurd. Texas Tech running back Mike Leach would be so disappointed.
Okay. So here's the crazy part about this, Ralph. Actually, let me see the time. It was about 25 minutes. Yeah, so Ralph, this is the same Super Bowl that Doug Williams got the Super Bowl MVP. So you're probably like, George, how could he have gotten a Super Bowl MVP and the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl if Timmy Smith, backup, ran for 204 yards on 22 carries? Well, it's because Doug Williams went 18 for 29 for 340 yards and 4 touchdowns and a pick. That's how. So he some kind of way outshined this incredible performance. So that makes it even more unheralded that it didn't even get you the Super Bowl MVP. And mind you, he still holds the record for most rushing yards in the Super Bowl.
Are you serious?
Yep.
So I didn't know about this, and I looked it up as you were talking. This man's Wikipedia following the greatest performance of all time is a little depressing. It's a little bit depressing.
Why? What does it say?
Okay, so he holds out after that and says, I need a new contract. When he comes to camp, he's 25 pounds heavier than he was at the Super Bowl.
He had a hell of an offseason.
Yeah, he did. And he makes it through the season, and Washington's like, they gave him a shot. He lost his starting job. He had this reminds me of Troy Hambrick. He had 470 yards in that whole year. And in the offseason, the Miami Dolphins offer him $100,000. But he goes and visits the Phoenix Cardinals at the time and fails his physical, and then signs with the Chargers for $250,000, and then gets photographed with a drug dealer and gets released before the season starts.
They didn't even have social media.
So
that's a setup.
This is the thing that you'll love. Getting photographed with a drug dealer and getting released. And this is 1990 at this point. One NFL team calls him. When you think of 1990 and drugs, what NFL team do you think gave him a shot?
Detroit Lions.
How about them Cowboys?
Oh, that makes sense. This makes sense. This makes all the sense in the world.
That's insane. I didn't know any of this. That's so fun. I mean, part of it was fun. The rest of it, maybe not so much fun.
Yeah.
My last one, and I debated this, and I feel horrible. So here's what I didn't do. I was debating between one and the other, and I decided against Tony Delk drops 53 in a game.
Oh, yeah.
And people were like, oh,
unbelievable.
Yeah, people were like, he was a great college player, but he was not a great NBA player. He scored 53 in a loss to the Kings in the final regular season game of like 2001. He did it with only 15 free throw attempts. And do you know how many threes he made in that game, George?
In what year?
2001.
Oh, probably 5.
0. This man scored 53.
Bro, he was out there getting buckets.
He scored 53 on 20 of 27 two-point shooting.
Love it.
Nasty.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know if there's any 50-point games since in this millennium with but I didn't go with that one. I just wanted to give it an honorable mention. My last one is one that tricked me almost as bad as Boomer Esiason. Tommy Frazier. Tommy Frazier's final college football game is the first college football game I ever watched start to finish.
Okay.
Ever. And it was the national championship in early January of 1996. I had traveled to spend Christmas with my grandparents.
Were they playing Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, he went stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing. My first college football game I'm watching start to finish. This man had 200 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns and looked like a superhuman. So in my head, Tommy Frazier must be like the GOAT, right?
Must be
He did
football
not have a
Jesus.
100-yard rushing game before that.
Really?
So, yeah. In my head, I have always thought that he was out there putting up 50, because the most yards he ever threw for was 1,300 in a season.
Yeah.
Even that final year when he finished second in Heisman voting. Nebraska didn't pass the ball.
No.
The most
no,
passes he threw in a game that year
team.
was 23.
Yes. They were a triple option team. That is so crazy. I would have thought he would have had 100 yards rushing prior to that, because you're running the triple option and your quarterback ends up with a ton of yards.
No, he on the season in 12 games had 803 yards rushing and 199 came in the Fiesta Bowl.
Damn.
So like my whole life, most of my life, I grew up thinking like, oh, Tommy Frazier was that dude all 4 years of college. And truth is, he didn't really play his junior year because he had the blood clots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he went out on like the absolute highest of highs. He wasn't actually doing that on a regular basis during Nebraska's back-to-back title runs.
That's crazy. Hey, man. See, this is why history will, like our memories and the way we remember things, it'll trick you bad. It'll trick you bad.
There's somebody who watched their first basketball game when they saw Bam had 30. There's some kid out there who was like 30 in the first quarter, and their dad turns it on, and they watch Bam Adebayo get triple teamed in the fourth quarter.
Oh my God, Bam is the greatest. He might be the GOAT. Yep, 100%. That's how kids. Who was it? One of the younger NBA players said that Paul George was his GOAT. And you're like, what? How? But if you grew up watching, when he was playing in Indiana, and your first experiences are him like on a week-long run of scoring 48, 50 or something like that, going hot, then yeah, that can give you that.
I'll tell you this, George, the first girl that I ever kissed, she'd done a lot of prison time. That's a nice lady to me. She has quite a rap sheet, but she can do no wrong. If I had been on that jury,
she was getting off?
Not guilty.
And with that, we will end the show. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show. Peace out. Catch you guys later.